the year anniversary of when she died last year.
That's tough.
And it was, like today, I feel good, to watch when you see a loved one suffer like that, and there's no options. It when you realize they're not suffering, you feel a lot better.
Yeah,
that is very true.
Yeah. So I just pushed record because I didn't want to miss that.
Oh yeah.
And so today we have Mario Montes on the podcast with us, and Mario, I know him from the Own the Dash group. And
the TD. I love that. I love Dakota, man.
Oh yeah,
man.
He's
a great guy.
And so we're gonna try and play
an intro song,
really quick, and see if we can get away with it.
Yep, here it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I love it, man.
Oh, my friends, the low riders.
I'm so old. I had that album when it was new.
Yeah,
really?
Well,
Dude, that's awesome.
We always listen to that song before we record a podcast.
Yeah,
and
so
today,
we're like, hey, let's try it out.
Yeah,
maybe we'll get in trouble. Maybe we won't.
As long as it's not longer than 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And so, like I already said, today we have Mario Montes on the podcast with us, and we want to talk to Mario about his sister passed away 1 year ago today, right?
Today.
Yeah, today.
Yeah.
It would be tonight, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we want to talk to him a little bit about that at first, and then we'll just go into his story.
Okay. So, tell us about it.
Well, what happened was my sister had originally contracted cancer a couple years prior to last year, and she had a successful, she fought it very well where it went away, and which happens, so she had a good 2 years, as my wife would put it. We got to see her thrive, and she lived some life with her son, and she was doing just she did traveling. I found out so much stuff about her after she passed.
Yeah,
because she had a legion of friends I didn't even know about. I didn't meet them until her funeral. But the cancer did come back. She was originally diagnosed with colon cancer, and it had she fought it with the surgery, radiation, chemo, and then she even took some RSO, the cannabis oil, which was huge in fighting it. So it went away, but it came back. But this time it had spread to her right shoulder.
Wow.
Had a little lump there on her shoulder on the top, and it was causing her a lot of pain. Okay. So that was about halfway through the year when it started, hurting. So she started getting treatment. She did the radiation, and
I'm just curious, what kind of pain was that?
She couldn't lift her. She thought she had pulled a muscle in her neck initially. It happened during baseball season. She went to an A's game, and when they were walking back to the car, she just noticed that her right side on her shoulder and her arm hurt, and she thought maybe she, pulled a muscle in her neck.
Yeah, sure.
It wasn't until when it started, it just hurting more, and we're fortunate enough. We live here in the Tri-Valley area of the Bay Area.
Okay.
There's Livermore, Pleasanton, and Dublin. 3 suburban cities about 45 minutes away from San Francisco. Anyway, there just happens to be a cancer center. She has the insurance with Kaiser Permanente, and they have a cancer center in Dublin. So that's where her doctor is, or that's where she went, and met with an oncologist, because she just wasn't feeling right. There was some issues with her digestive, and then we found out the cancer was back. So that started the treatment there in Dublin, California, and they're great, wonderful center. But it was spreading rapidly, and over the course of the summer, my wife and I, we'd take her to her treatments, and she was, not doing well. You know, a lot of nausea in the morning, and we got to the next step where we were going to start exploring other options because, you know, the radiation treatments just worked for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
The pain went away. She felt great.
Mm-hmm.
So we had also got some more of the RSO oil. It's very strong stuff. And
Sure.
so
Is it like
in the course-
CBD or what?
that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
It's like
Mhm.
concentrated.
Okay.
You know, it's like really strong. Poor thing would have to, you know, swallow these little. They're like, it looks like dark wax is what it looks like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the oil that's concentrated. I'm not sure how they make it, but
Sure.
it's got to come from a certain. I learned a lot about this actually. I had no idea what this stuff was, and it has to come. It has to be a certain grade of either sativa or the other one.
Indica.
Indica, yeah, it's got to be like
Mhm.
about, I don't know, 80% or something like that, above
Okay.
65.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had that, but it just, you know, she just was getting worse, you know. It wasn't until we had met with her oncologist and I saw the results from her CAT scan of where the cancer was. There was like a mass around her shoulder, but there was also cancer like in her esophagus and around her lungs. And in the actual, you know, on the screen there, it just looked like a little spongy mass. And so, you know, I saw this mass of sponges, but then they were also dispersed in her upper body elsewhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so then that's when the doc had told us, you know, she was going to go through, she was in what's called palliative care, right? Again, I'm a big dummy. I didn't know what this meant, you know.
Mhm.
I palliative care, you know, and then there's curative care. And then my wife realized I wasn't getting it. So she explained to me what was what. And then the severity hit me.
Yeah.
And as we progressed through the fall, you know, she was looking okay. She was losing a little weight, you know, but it was around October. We were going to go to chemo. Well, we were going to set up chemo appointments. And so we didn't see her, you know, like we would see her every week. We missed a few weeks. And in that time in October, it was 3 weeks, we went to pick her up and she had lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't realize how skinny she was. So then we had met with the doctor to set up appointments. And November was rough. She was, you know, not doing well. There was some issues with her insurance that gotten straightened out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then she would go to these breathing treatments. She was always having problems breathing.
Oh.
So there's at the cancer center, they have these, you know, you can go for like an hour or two, whatever. They hook you up and they help you there, you know, get through whatever you got to get through. So we saw her Thanksgiving, and I'd taken a whole meal over to where she lived. She lived with my mother in Livermore. And the next day, she wasn't doing well. And my father was visiting. My parents had been since divorced many years. Anyway, he was visiting her, and he told me that, you know, he thinks she has to go to the ER. So the day after Thanksgiving, all three of us went, and I just stayed with her in the ER room. And it turns out she needed oxygen, you know, so we had to set that up with a company. It was like an all-day thing, and that's just the way it goes, you know. So we got her set up with oxygen that weekend, and then we were going to take her, my wife and I, that following Monday to the cancer center for her breathing treatment. And while there, I was sitting with her. She has a blanket, you know, and they have these like pretty comfortable chairs, you know, like recliners and all this stuff. She really couldn't breathe. So this was like December 1st.
Wow.
And so we got the doctor of that area there in the treatment area, and it was determined she needs to go to the ER.
Yeah.
So my wife is waiting in the waiting room. I just text her, you know, we're going to go to the ER. You know, I'll keep you posted. And she had to go by ambulance. So it was, we rode in the ambulance, and, you know, she wasn't sure. She thought she was having panic attacks with these breathing, every time there was a breathing problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things that I had to talk her through a lot of that, even over the phone at night before she went to bed. But it was really the cancer that was in her esophagus.
Yeah.
And do you have any other brothers and sisters?
Yes, I do. Myself being the oldest in our household here in Pleasanton, and then I have my younger brother. We call him Chooch. His name is Jesus. He's 9 years younger than me, and then my sister being the youngest, she's 15 years younger than me.
Oh, wow.
And so, but I do have a older stepbrother. His name is Bart. He lives down out in the desert there by Palm Springs. And then there's another thing. When my sister found out she had cancer again, it doesn't run in our family.
Yeah.
And so she wanted to know if, because my father had, there was some talk that he had other children before he met my mother. And so what happened was she went on one of those ancestry.com or one of those, you send your DNA in or whatever.
Yeah.
So she went on the public, she got the public program to put her information out there. And she found out she had a couple of half brothers. So great guys. I met them. I'm older than both of them. One of them, his name is Fidel. And he's from the Bay Area. Fidel Garcia, great guy. Turns out he was in the Corps like I was.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
He was a sergeant, though. He was like 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And then my other half brother, his name is Tony. He lives out in Colorado. Great guy. So that to me that was a blessing. To meet these guys. So she met Fidel herself in person, but she never got to meet Tony. But so anyway, back to that at the hospital, she was in the ER. What happened was her body was shutting down, and we pretty much went from Monday to Tuesday. Wednesday, we knew she wasn't doing well, and we were resigned to the fact that she probably was not going to see the new year. But Thursday, we had a family meeting with the doctor there at the ICU where she was staying. And that was Thursday morning, December 4th. And the doc, it was myself, my mother, my brother, Jesus, and his wife, Christy. We sat in, and she had told us that there's nothing they can do for her. They're giving her 100% oxygen, but her oxygen level in her body is dropping.
Oh, man.
Her kidneys are shutting down, and that's going to make the rounds to all the organs.
Okay.
And I had noticed, the day before, her feet were turning a little bluish purple around the toes, and they were very cold. So there was circulation problems, So the doc really needed permission to have her taken off the life support machines. And my family had looked to me to make that decision. And I told the doc, once we were assured that nothing could be done, and we could see that with our own eyes, how worse she was getting. Yeah. And they had to keep her, being on those machines, those oxygen machines, you're pretty much out of it, they give you morphine, whatever. So the doc explained the procedure and what would be done. She would be medicated 2 hours before they removed the intubation tube.
Yeah.
And so we have a ton of family and friends and stuff.
Let me ask you, are you Cuban or what?
No, my people come from Mexico.
Okay.
And my grandparents, my grandfather on my mother's side, he came from Mexico. My grandmother on my mom's side, she was born in Boise, Idaho, back in 1945. And then a lot of my family also comes from here, from California, all the way to Baja.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And but yeah, that's where my people come. People ask me where I'm from. I'm from Pleasanton. Right?
Yeah.
I was born in Oakland, 1965.
Yeah.
But anyway, we had a lot of family up here anyway, that live up here.
Yeah.
And so I just needed to get the word out that she wasn't going to make it through the night. So if you wanted to come say goodbye or whatever, and God, that was an ordeal. We had so many people. We took over the waiting room,
Yeah.
Sure.
the lobby, and people, you had to go up in groups, because it's ICU,